Hello and salutations, it's me, Salty. Welcome back to 2 Cents Toys, and today I'm going over the Star Wars The Black Series 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back Snowspeeder with Dak Ralter. I got this at my local GameStop for the price of like 120, 130 bucks, something like that. And the box is so large, I actually have to stand up to review this. I've got my camera way further back than it usually is, so if my hand is doing these sorts of things, that's why. I don't have like super long arms or anything. Looking at the front of the box, you see we get Star Wars The Black Series, picture of the Snowspeeder, nice kind of artwork mock-up of the Snowspeeder, little picture of Dak down here next to the Snowspeeder, 4th anniversary Empire logo, Hasbro, all that stuff. Top of the box just says Star Wars The Black Series, picture of the Snowspeeder again. Bottom of the box is a bunch of microscopic legalese. Side of the box is red, just says Snowspeeder with Dak Ralter. Other side of the box is a nice little artwork mock-up of Dak himself, Black Series. In the back of the box has all the goodies, a read up about the Snowspeeder, read up about Dak, picture of Dak, picture of the Snowspeeder, a bunch of different little pictures down here, center consoles, all that kind of stuff. Also, up here at the top of the box, kind of little blueprints, which you couldn't really make out. All that out of the way, I'm going to get it open, I'm going to assemble it. We'll compare Dak to the Luke Skywalker Snowspeeder outfit. Really quick, I was kind of wondering why there was no window for Dak. That's because he's sealed to the side of the box in this Snowspeeder. Takes up the entire width of the box. Like they really maximized, other than like a corner here or a corner here, they really filled the box with the Snowspeeder. First we go over what else is in the box. And we got not one, but 2 grenades. The thing that gets thrown up inside the AT-AT and blows it up. So we got 2 of them, and I mean, they're pretty basic, cast in black with gold painted tips. The cool part about these, I mean, not only do they fit in Luke and Dak's hands, but there's storage for them, and that's just incredible. Like, I was so worried about losing these, because I'm not going to put something like this on the shelf. It's going to fall and roll and the like, but, you can store them right there in the cockpit, so that's exactly where they're going to live. Another welcome surprise is the little grappling gun that Luke uses to shoot up to the AT-AT, which also has storage inside the cockpit. Like, you can't beat that. Great detail. The silver on it's pretty good. I even liked the addition of a little clip there for the belt, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, it'd be too much to expect it to work, but maybe I'll be able to take a little X-Acto knife and kind of carve that out for the hook or something, but still, a nice addition. Which, of course, leads us to Dak. As far as I can tell, it's the same body mold as Luke Skywalker, except the belt is different. He doesn't have a little hook for the lightsaber or pouches or anything like that, but overall, it's the same thing. He even has butterfly joints. I guess we'll go over articulation here in a second, but I wanted to talk about his helmet, which when I first saw it, I was like, wow, there's no detail on there. But after rewatching the scene, that's exactly what it looks like. Real quick, that is Dak's face. They used some sort of photoreal tech. I won't pretend to know the actor's face in my mind's eye. Still, I think that's a very nice sculpt. The paint's really nice, eyebrows look great, the eyes look symmetrical, paint on the lips is, not overrunning anywhere. So that's really nice. And here's your close-up of the helmet. Very clean application of the Rebel symbols. Very clean paint apps overall. Not a whole lot of run. I have a little bit across the top of the goggles or the visor, but still not a whole bunch. So real quick, we'll go over articulation, then I'll do a side-by-side next to Luke so you can see the differences. Head looks up that far, buries the chin, looks side to side, okay amount of tilt. With the helmet on, he can't really look up at all. He can still look down. Still gets side to side, of course. Shoulder spins 360, comes up at 90. Butterfly joints allow him to go back and forth. Single jointed elbow comes up at a 90. Elbow swivel, and wrist pivots up and down. Conversely, the other wrist pivots in and out. He can't really lean forward that much. Leans further back than he leans forward. Leans side to side. Swivel. Leg kicks forward to just under 90. Kicks back that far. Kicks out that far. Thigh swivel. Single jointed knee comes up at a 90. Knee swivel. The knee can also hyperextend that far out. Ankle goes back that far. Barely forward. And ankle rocker. Standing him next to Luke, you can see the differences in their helmets. And that's mostly just paint. Otherwise, it's the same. The body is all identical, except for the belt, like I mentioned earlier. Luke has his belt, and he just has a generic kind of gray belt. But otherwise, these bodies are the same. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into if you have one. And before we go too far into the ship, I wanted to take a moment and just kind of talk about this little panel of detail. It's going to be covered up once I put everything together, so I'm taking the opportunity to talk about it now. The amount of sculpt that went into this little panel, which is 9 times out of 10, I can pretty much promise you is going to be covered up. Just the fact that that was added was really cool. Like, you get to see all these, like, kind of turbines and the pipes and the tubes and all that. And, you could have, I don't know, your display could have this parked in a hangar and Luke could have that stuff off and, working on it. Or, that could be an area of damage or something. I like it when they do that sort of thing. Like, they did that with the skiff and Jabba's Palace. I reviewed those about a year ago on the channel, and I always appreciate whenever little details like that are added. Don't get me wrong, there's tons of other detail that we're going to go over. Just wanted to point that one out before it gets covered up. So this is the Snowspeeder itself, and again, I'll say I'm a 6 foot tall man, and that lets you know how big this thing is. There's Dak laying on the cockpit, for example. It's huge. So this is where that panel is. You gotta pop this off, which is a pain to get back on, but I'll do it for you. And then pop this panel off, which is a pain to get in, but again, there. See, that's where that panel goes. You have to kind of line these little pegs up with 2 grooves down here. They're not quite cut to fit, at least on mine. And so you kind of wedge them in there and then push it closed, which for some reason this corner doesn't want to clip. But the pain is to get this on, because you have this and you have it on that end. So it's kind of a chicken or the egg, because there's not quite enough space really to get it back on. But you gotta kind of work with it and then give it a Judy chop like that. That's the only method I can find that gets it to work. I don't know. I'm probably overthinking it. The tusks come off like they did in the box, and they're grooved on one side to let you know kind of which one goes on which, instead of having an R and an L. So, and they just peg right there into the front. Pretty easy, pretty simple, straightforward more or less. This is the turret gun in the back, which is kind of underwhelming if we're being perfectly honest. I expected a little bit more in the way of paint and size, but I'll probably just customize this myself, go over it with black, and then do the kind of dry brush silver, which you saw me do on Luke's blaster and his belt and all that in the Bespin Luke custom. So give that some more character. Hidden on the top here, on both sides, if you pull, there's a little slot here. If you pull, kind of work your way around, and if you pull straight up on both of these, you can fan them up, and there's your brakes. Showing you some pictures now, just that way you kind of get a better idea, maybe a picture of some of the detail that's in there, which is super cool, I think, honestly. And to get them to go down, you just make them flat again, just like that, and push them straight down. And, kind of click the sides around. So they're really giving you a whole lot of options here. The back of the ship has these little kind of right and left little drop downs. I wish that you could kind of unplug these and take these out and then put them flush on there so they didn't have to be permanently down, but they are down. This is also our tow hook right here, which I will show you more in depth when we go over the bottom of the ship, which is right now. So you see the bottom of the ship, you get the screws because they got to be somewhere. These are those same little directional pads that I was showing you, which I'm sure there's a name for them, but I don't know what it is. What's cool, other than the added detail weathering, which is appreciative, I might go over with like a Gundam marker and kind of make these grooves darker. That might be a custom video later down the line. If you're interested in that, let me know. The landing gears have their own little bays here, which is really cool. You just pop this one open, kind of pull it out. There's your front landing gear. And on the sides, you just open up the little doors on the inside, because the landing gears are attached to the big door. So you do get screws on the inside of these landing gears, but again, that's not that big of a deal. And here are some up-close photos of landing gears themselves, so you can see that they still sculpted detail inside those hatches. Still, that's a nice touch. They went kind of above and beyond. Now, I mentioned the tow hook, or the tow cable, which is back here. It pulls out very far. Like, I can't even fit the whole thing on camera. Which, trying to use this measuring board, which is hard to do on camera, the measuring board goes to 18 inches, and the cable's longer than that. So my best guess and estimation is around 22 inches long, which is pretty dang cool. I might put a magnet on the end of that, I haven't decided yet. But there's a back panel, which is a little bit of a pain to open, I won't lie to you about that. And all you do is just reach in and grab the little nub, pull it back through, and then just lay the cable down in there. So very simple. People might complain and think, oh, well, if it's $130, it should be motorized. And I'm like, motorized just means that's one more thing that can break and wear down over time. I'm perfectly fine doing it by hand, just to save myself motors, because motors actually add money and weight to the package, which adds to shipping, which, whatever. That brings us to the cockpit. You can see it's very spacious, the seats the way they're supposed to fit. I'll show you some photos here about the inside of the cockpit so we can go over some of the detail. So you can see the Y-shaped seat belts, and zoomed in here, you'll see where the grenades are supposed to go. The four that are in there already are molded in, so you can't take them out, but that's to kind of give you a visual clue where they're supposed to go, as well as the little hole, which is actually on Dak's side of the ship, where the grappling gun fits in. So you'll see it poking out right there. One thing that I absolutely love is the top of the cockpit there. You can see it's kind of padded, has some cables and the like, and they molded in and included the handrails to kind of pull the cockpit top closed, which is super cool. They got handles for Dak and handles for Luke, whichever one. There's the picture of Dak's controls. You can see his little targeting system. You can see, the little buttons and all that. They really went all out, and it's wonderful. And this is Luke's side of the cockpit. He's got his steering gyros and everything, all of his little dash with the lights and the buttons and all. Super cool. And you'll see this is how the seatbelts connect. They're little pegs that peg into the top of the chair. I was really worried that it was going to peg into the bottom, and that was going to be a pain in the... It was going to be a pain in the ass, just point blank pain in the ass to peg it into the floor if that was the case. But thankfully, it pegs into the top of the chairs. And you'll see here, I got Luke and Dak inside their seats. They're both grabbing on to their controls, which I'll show you in a photo. It takes a little finagling to get their hands over the controls. I find the best method is to kind of just wedge them on there, kind of, if you can, fit your thumb or a finger around there and kind of hold the hand open a little bit and shove them down over the top. That's the best method I can find. Now, the big thing that everyone wants to know is, will this canopy close with both of them in there and their helmets on? So let's find out together. And the answer is absolutely yes. No problem at all. That's probably where Luke and Dak are going to live for me, is inside the ship. I'm just completely overwhelmed. I had a feeling I was going to like this ship, but I didn't know I was going to like it as much as I do. I love this thing. I love it so much that I need a TIE fighter, I need an X-Wing, I need a Y-Wing, A-Wing, you name it. 6-inch scale ships are amazing. It made me feel like a little kid all over again. Because I know I'm not alone, and playing with a Snowspeeder, you grabbed it by the back right here with your hand, holding it like a taco, and you flew it around. That's exactly what I did as soon as I picked this up. Like Power of the Force 2, Kenner 3 3/4 scale, I can just pick them up and hold them. No big deal. I picked this up, I immediately grabbed it by the back and felt like a kid again. Because it's scaled. I don't know how else to describe it. It's incredible. My only hang up, of course, is the back turret. I wish it was bigger, had more detail on it. Some of the plastic feels cheap and kind of hollow, but I guess that's keeping the price down, I suppose. Or the thing that everyone asked me about Slave 1 that I forgot to include is how big it is. Like the actual measurements. So if we scoot the very back of it to the edge of this, you can see that the tusks extend past 18 inches, but just barely. So you can see, here you can see it is wider than a foot, because this only goes a foot wide to 18 inches long. The tusks are past the 18-inch mark. If I had to wager a guess, I'd say it's 18 and a quarter, 18 and a half inches long. It's about, I'd say, close to 13 or 14 inches across. And with the landing gears up, it's about 5 inches tall. So those are all approximate. That's based on my best guess. Bigger than the dimensions of my cutting board here. People also asked about the dimensions of the box. The box is 18 inches long. It is just under 16 inches tall and 4.5 inches wide. And that's all I really got for today. I absolutely love this thing. I think it's worth every penny. Will I buy a second one? Probably not. Just because I have the one 6-inch scale dioramas are kind of pricey, and I don't know if that's something I'm willing to really dive into at the moment. But I have Wedge, so I could put Wedge into a Snowspeeder, but I'd much rather have Wedge in an X-Wing. So here's hoping that we get an X-Wing, a real TIE fighter, maybe 5 years from now, HasLab will do a Millennium Falcon or something, but who knows. Anyway, I highly recommend this ship. Maybe it's new toy syndrome, maybe you're seeing faults that I'm not seeing because I've got, new toy eyes on, but I freaking love this thing. The only real big hang up I have is where the hell am I going to put it? But that's a problem for me, not a problem for you. So anyway, if you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know down below if you were on the fence on this and now you're going to get it, or if you're on the fence and now you're not going to get it because it doesn't live up to what you want. Let's have a conversation down in the comments about the Snowspeeder, price point, you name it. We'll talk about it. So anyway, thanks for stopping by today, and until next time, I'm Salty, signing off.